finally found it. That old Cootearth elder really has a bad memory. Over the past few days, Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui had been traveling and questioning locals. Thanks to Xiao Gui's sharp wit, they managed to decipher the faint markings on the stone token, pinpointing the exact location. The 10,000 Fires sect was a sect perched atop Flame Furnace Cliff in the central region. Its overall strength ranked mid-tier among sects in the area. Flame Furnace Cliff itself was a treacherous location, easy to defend and hard to attack. Rumor had it that the sect's most powerful figure was a man at the mid-4-star Do Xian level, none other than the current sect leader. Due to his cultivation of fire attributes, he was known for his extremely violent temper. 10,000 Fires sect, mid-4-star Do Xian? Xiao Yin lifted his head, his gaze fixed on the sect standing tall at the cliff's summit as he murmured to himself. From their vantage point, Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui stood at the edge of Flame Furnace Cliff. The cliff stretched out before them, filled with deep ravines and scattered with strange, fragmented rocks. The intense heat radiating from it made the entire area feel like a gigantic furnace, a perilous terrain. Given that Xiao Yan's own cultivation was fire-based, he faced less pressure when confronting strong cultivators with the same attribute. If he had to challenge the sect leader of the 10,000 Fires sect, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Despite being at the late 3-star Do Xian level, Xiao Yin wielded flames powered by the great heavenly scarlet flame seed and 2 sacred flames, giving him more than 8 times the strength of an ordinary fire cultivator. Let's go. We'll enter the sect first. It's been months since Spirit Hall assigned new disciples, and our training at Spirit Mountain delayed us. Hopefully, the sect's strongholds are hospitable, Xiao Yin said with a faint smile. His tone carried subtle determination. However, inwardly, he braced himself. If they were not welcomed, he had some special methods in mind. Got it, Xiao Gui nodded, following the mountain trail toward the verdant cliff. As they stepped into Flame Furnace Cliff, a concealed scout in the distance observed them before quietly retreating in the opposite direction, toward the Azure Cloud Pavilion. Wait, something's off here. A moment later, as the duo ventured further into Flame Furnace Cliff, Xiao Yin suddenly raised a hand to stop Xiao Gui. He stared at the emerald flames that had inexplicably materialized in front of them. This green flame is no joke, Xiao Gui remarked, frowning as he scanned the surroundings. They had barely ventured a few hundred meters into the cliff, not even close to its midpoint, let alone the sect atop the summit. Yet they already faced such a dazzling threat. What should we do now, big brother? Xiao Gui asked, glancing nervously at Xiao Yan's flickering pupils. The ghostly energy within Xiao Gui was inherently weak against the masculine force of fire, and within moments, sweat streamed down his face. It seems the 10,000 Fires sect isn't very welcoming, Xiao Yin mused, his gaze piercing through the sea of green flames to the grand residence at the cliff's peak. The power of these green flames surpasses ordinary fire. Though not as potent as a small heavenly seed, their strength is still impressive. Since you've unleashed them on me, wouldn't it be rude not to accept them? As he finished speaking, a sudden burst of suction erupted from Xiao Yin, radiating outwards. Boom! In an instant, the green flames scattered across the cliff responded as if drawn by an irresistible force, rushing madly toward Xiao Yan's body. Threads of emerald fire surged toward him, vanishing into his body one after another. Even Xiao Gui, usually composed, found his dry lips twitching at the sight. Let's move. This trip to the 10,000 Fires sect won't be simple, Xiao Yin said with a heavy tone. But I don't plan to stay here long. The lovesick tree. I must find it. Moments later, the green flames covering the cliff had been completely absorbed by Xiao Yin. He raised his head solemnly. Big brother, go with peace of mind. I'll handle the management here, Xiao Gui said with a grin. Good. Xiao Yin nodded. But before I leave, I'll ensure this sect is entirely subdued. Besides, during my time here, I should learn how to manage things better, Xiao Yin added with a smile. Let's go. Without further delay, the two continued toward the summit. Within Flame Furnace Cliff, the emerald flames were its greatest threat. Though not as powerful as a small heavenly seed, their bone-penetrating pain was enough to deter most. Besides, the cliffs were treacherous, and under the jurisdiction of the Earth Spirit Hall, the entire central region was designated as a no-fly zone, leaving climbing as the only option. Sect leader. Sect leader. Something terrible has happened. Moments later, an anxious voice rushed in from outside the clifftop residence. Huo, didn't I instruct you to guard the cliffs and prevent outsiders from entering? What's causing this panic? Asked the sect leader of the 10,000 Fires sect, his tone tinged with anger as he sat at the head of the main hall. Sect leader, the azure flame below our cliff was completely absorbed by a nameless brat. They're now heading toward the residence atop the cliff with an imposing air. Sect leader, you must act quickly. Huo's face reflected his fear. After all, the azure flame beneath the cliff was so formidable that even some of their mid-3-star Docian experts couldn't handle it. Yet, it was entirely absorbed by someone at the late 3-star Docian level. What? The azure flame protecting our flame furnace cliff has been fully absorbed? The sect leader shot up from his seat, his voice laced with disbelief. Their flame furnace cliff relied on both the cliffs and flames for protection, keeping even powerful enemies at bay. Now, with the azure flame gone, the cliff might attract covetous forces. After all, in the central region's survival of the fittest environment, even the Earth Spirit Hall would turn a blind eye to such predation. What's their strength? Who are they? The sect leader calmed himself after a moment and asked. Just 2 men. The one who absorbed the azure flame is at the late 3-star Docian level, Huo replied. Late 3-star Docian? And the strength of the other? It's greater, isn't it? The sect leader's eyes narrowed as he pressed for details. Yes. Huo stammered, surprised at how the sect leader had deduced this. Humph. So, the disciples sent by the Spirit Hall have finally arrived? Summon the elders. I want to test the strength of this brat, who's dared to keep us waiting for months. The sect leader's voice was icy. Yes. Huo quickly obeyed and departed. That must be our destination. The residence of the 10,000 Fires sect. Moments later, Xiao and Xiao stepped onto a relatively flat expanse of rock just below the summit of Flame Furnace Cliff. Let's go. Time to enter the sect, Xiao said with a smile. They had reached the base of the cliff, and entering the 10,000 Fires sect was now only a matter of time. The 10,000 Fires sect stood atop an immense cliff. The vast residence on the summit exuded a profound air of dominance, with a faint yet oppressive aura emanating from it. Hold on, Xiao interrupted with a smile, as he stopped Xiao, his eyes glinting with sharp perception. Big brother, Xiao looked at him, puzzled. Look around. These cliffs are all oddly shaped, yet this one is exceptionally large and stands alone, with no rocks nearby within tens of meters. Notice anything else? The cliff is perfectly circular, with no visible path to the summit. Combined with the no-fly restriction, we can't ascend easily. The 10,000 Fires sect's residence sits atop this cliff. To reach it from here, I suspect there's some hidden mechanism, Xiao explained as he scanned their surroundings. But we're here under orders from the sect master of the Spirit Hall. No matter how audacious the 10,000 Fires sect might be, they wouldn't dare block us. Xiao trailed off, realizing the gravity of the situation as he observed the cliffs. It seems our delay in taking up our posts has made the 10,000 Fires sect's experts rather unhappy, Xiao remarked. They had already reached the heart of Flame Furnace Cliff, and the key to entering the sect likely lay within this massive cliff. Boom! Crack, crack! Suddenly, small fissures appeared on the cliff before them, and a figure emerged from within. The man radiated an overwhelming, savage aura, akin to that of a ferocious soul beast. However, his age and strength were comparable to Xiao, indicating that this was the cliff guardian of Flame Furnace Cliff. What business do you two have trespassing in the territory of the 10,000 Fires sect? The young man's fingers curled into claws as he pointed at Xiao, unleashing a powerful and unmistakable presence. In the central region, countless sects and factions carved out their own territories, often engaging in fierce competition. Understood. Seeing the young man hovering inexplicably in midair by the cliff, Xiao wasted no time. A stone token appeared slowly in his hand before he suddenly hurled it toward the young man. Thud. With a dull sound, the stone token bearing the character for fire appeared in the young man's hand. His brow furrowed instantly as he looked at it in confusion. This is the passage token of our 10,000 Fires sect? But I recall this token was a keepsake sent to the Spirit Hall by the sect master, entrusted to a powerful figure overseeing our sect. How did it end up in their hands? After a brief moment, the young man's eyes sharpened, staring warily at Xiao Yin and his companion. In an instant, relying on his perfected 3-star Do Xian strength, he assessed the two before him. One had strength comparable to his own, while the leader's aura only revealed the level of late 3-star Do Xian. This puzzled him greatly, especially considering that not far from their sect in the Azure Cloud Pavilion, there was a disciple of early 4-star Do Xian managing affairs. Given that their sect's strength was on par with the Azure Cloud Pavilion, even if the Spirit Hall had grievances against them, it wouldn't make sense to send just 2 3-star Do Xian as representatives. You too. Where did you get this token? The young man's gaze turned cold, and a dangerous glint flickered in his eyes. Clearly, after some thought, he decided the two were imposters. We're here on behalf of the Spirit Hall, sent to assist your sect leader in managing the 10,000 Fires sect, Xiao Yin said with a faint smile. Utter nonsense. You're just 3-star Do Xian. How dare you pose as overseers from the Spirit Hall? Once I capture you and turn you in, let's see how you try to explain yourselves. As the last word left his mouth, flames surged from the young man's body. A dazzling wave of azure fire emanated, shimmering brilliantly against the backdrop of Flame Furnace Cliff. Step aside, big brother. Just as Xiao Yin prepared to make a move, Xiao Gui stepped forward. Boom! A torrential wave of ghostly energy erupted from Xiao Gui's body, enveloping him entirely. Without hesitation, his entire form transformed into a black vortex and shot toward the young man. The immense power of the attack was such that even a perfected 3-star Do Xian would find it unbearable. Ghost energy? The young man cried out in alarm upon seeing this. However, his azure flames surged simultaneously, releasing a terrifying heat to resist Xiao Gui's assault. Bang! 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 As the two energy forces clashed, both figures were hurled backward instantly. Xiao Gui, unscathed, returned to Xiao Yan's side, while the young man, disheveled and battered, plummeted toward the cliffside, crashing into several rocky outcroppings before finally coming to a stop. Big brother, was that too harsh? Xiao Gui asked, glancing at the sorry state of the young man he had just overpowered. You did well. The 10,000 Fires sect clearly holds grievances against us. We must give them a proper warning. Otherwise, how could we assert authority, let alone manage them? Xiao Yin said, visibly pleased. Although the young man's strength was on par with Xiao Gui's, the density of ghost energy Xiao Gui wielded far surpassed that of an ordinary cultivator. Furthermore, the young man's overconfidence had led to his humiliating defeat. Heh, big brother, you always say you're not good at managing things. But this tactic was brilliant, Xiao Gui chuckled, clearly satisfied with himself. Xiao Yin responded with a knowing smile. It seemed that, despite his frequent hands-off approach on the Doqi continent, he had unknowingly picked up a thing or two about leadership. Bang! 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 The surrounding cliffs near Flame Furnace Cliff were shattered by the young man's crash. Stones splintered, and the deafening echoes resounded in the air. The young man's aura and figure looked utterly miserable. Lead the way. Otherwise, my next move won't be so forgiving. A moment later, Xiao Yan's voice rang out near the young man's ear, carrying a peculiar, soul-shaking force. Startled, the young man immediately froze, convinced of Xiao Yan's warning. Why yes. Scrambling to his feet, the battered man dared not defy the pair any longer. The seemingly mild-mannered Xiao Yan struck him as the more fearsome of the two. This way, my lords. This is the only passage into our 10,000 Fires sect. Moments later, subdued by Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui's intimidating display, the guard became thoroughly compliant, bowing respectfully as he gestured toward them. With a wave of his hand, A trace of azure flame emanated from his palm, activating the mechanism at the cliff's edge. A glowing cyan portal gradually appeared. By the way, what's the strength of your sect's leadership? Since the 10,000 Fires sect harbors such strong opposition toward the two of us, we must first understand their situation thoroughly and devise an appropriate response. Reporting to you, my lord, our 10,000 Fires sect has 5 4-star Dosien, the cliff keeper reported respectfully. 5 4-star Dosien? Xiao couldn't help but take a sharp breath. On the lower continents, a 4-star Dosien would be considered a top-tier powerhouse, yet here they were as common as grains of sand. The difference between dimensions and realms truly was staggering. Among the 5, 3 are in the early 4-star Dosien stage, and 1 is a half-step 4-star Dosien. As for our sect leader, his name is Huo. He is a mid-4-star Dosien expert. It is precisely due to the sect leader's presence that our sect holds a mid-tier status in the central region, the cliff keeper explained, speaking with great detail, as he knew he stood no chance against these formidable individuals, despite their apparent lower cultivation levels. Huo, mid-4-star Dosien, is he? Xiao mused to himself. Though he was only a perfected 3-star Dosien, he was confident he could hold his own against ordinary early 4-star Dosien opponents. Including the sect leader, 3 4-star Dosien defend the sect, while the other 2 oversee our remaining territories. The cliff keeper continued. Let's go. Xiao seemed disinterested in other strong individuals, striding directly through the light gate toward the mansion atop the cliff. This thing can ascend? Quite mysterious. As he stepped through the azure gate, Xiao noticed they had entered a unique space within the cliff. Beneath them, a glowing orb undulated slowly, elevating them higher. Meanwhile, in the mansion at the cliff's summit, sect leader, the guards have reported that the cliff keeper seems to have been defeated. Moreover, there are strong individuals traversing the cliff's passage, said the great elder of Fire Cloud Hall, standing alongside sect leader Huo. Beside them were Elder Huo and Huo's defiant son, Huo. Great elder, those 2 are likely the disciples sent by Spirit Hall to oversee our sect. They arrived several months late and even injured our cliff keeper. When we meet them, I must demand an explanation. Huo's face was filled with fury. The duo's tardiness had already offended the entire 10,000 Fires sect. Xun'er, show respect. When you meet them, ensure you observe proper etiquette, Huo reprimanded with a cold snort. Father! Huo shouted in frustration. Proper etiquette is essential. However, if those 2 brats dare to meddle in the management of our sect, this sect leader will be the first to object, Huo declared coldly, his tone brooking no argument. Sect leader, wise as always. If Spirit Hall thinks they can fob us off with 2 wet-behind-the-ears boys, we'll simply play along, Elder Huo remarked with a sly smile. Well said, father, Huo added with a smirk. If the pair didn't interfere with the sect, he couldn't care less about their presence. After all, they were just Spirit Hall disciples in the end. However, sect leader, these 2 were personally assigned by the sect master of Earth Spirit Hall, Earth Spirit Old Ghost. His strength and prestige rank among the highest in Spirit Hall. This is the first time he has ever assigned anyone directly. I worry we may be inviting trouble. The great elder, Fire Cloud, shook his head, clearly considering the broader implications. Great elder, you overthink things. We'll wait here. No need to greet them personally, Huo replied dismissively. The 4 then fell silent, waiting in the hall. Let's hope we don't offend anyone important, the great elder muttered to himself, his concern evident. My lords, we've arrived. This is the headquarters of the 10,000 Fires sect. Moments later, Xiao and his companions exited the cliff, arriving at the mansion atop. What an imposing mansion. The scale of this place suggests that the 10,000 Fires sect has considerable foundations, Xiao remarked as he surveyed the massive estate. The sprawling complex, with training grounds, various facilities, and hundreds of buildings, extended nearly a kilometer, exuding a majestic aura. Where is sect leader Huo? Please inform him that the Spirit Hall disciples are here to assist under the orders of the sect master, Xiao said formally to the cliff keeper beside him. Please wait a moment, my lords. I will notify them right away. The cliff guardian said this and stepped into the estate, heading toward the main hall. From his demeanor, it was clear he was going to find the sect leader. A quarter of an hour passed, then another quarter of an hour. Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui didn't move. They simply waited in place, and this waiting stretched to half a day. You, how could you do this? Those two are sent by the spirit hall. If anything happens to them, you... The cliff guardian arrived outside the hall, but was immediately intercepted by the guards. He was told he couldn't enter, and that Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui would have to come themselves. Frustrated, the guardian muttered curses under his breath. After his earlier encounter with Xiao Gui, he understood that these two were deeply powerful, far beyond what they appeared to be on the surface. The sect leader has ordered that since they kept us waiting for months, we'll return the favor and make them wait for a while, one of the guards said dismissively. To the 10,000 Fires sect, 2 mid-3-star Do Xians held little value, especially since they'd arrived so late. Their tardiness naturally provoked resentment. You'll regret this, the guardian warned, shaking his head slowly. He clearly had no knowledge of the sect's high-level decisions. When the guards restricted his movements, he could only wait in place. Brother, do you think this guy is messing with us? Xiao Gui asked, growing suspicious as he watched people busily coming and going within the estate. Yet no one came to greet them. It's not his fault. This is the decision of the 10,000 Fires sect's higher-ups. Follow me, and remember, hit hard later. Let's go. Xiao Yan's immense soul power had already detected the earlier exchange. Without hesitation, he led Xiao Gui into the estate, heading straight for the main hall. A faint smile curled at the corner of his lips, but that smile carried a terrifying and chilling force. Move out. Xiao Yan's voice had barely faded when both figures stepped firmly into the estate. Hiss! What overwhelming fiery pressure! As soon as they entered, waves of scorching heat surged toward them, catching Xiao Gui off guard. Whoosh! In an instant, Xiao Yan's great heavenly scarlet flame seed erupted brilliantly, enveloping Xiao Gui. The oppressive heat dissipated immediately. This estate is quite unique, Xiao Yan remarked, raising his head to observe the surroundings. The 10,000 Fires sect's headquarters was essentially a sprawling estate atop the largest cliff of the Flame Furnace Cliff. The estate was shaped like a square, with flat edges and a raised central area. At the very center was the headquarters of the sect's higher-ups. The surrounding areas housed residences and training grounds for the sect disciples. You cannot enter. Leave at once. You are not welcome in the 10,000 Fires sect. As soon as Xiao Yin and Xiao Gui stepped into the estate, a group of sect disciples in the midst of training surrounded them, blocking their way with shouts and curses. Move! Xiao Yin commanded coldly. These disciples were mostly mediocre in strength and held low positions in the sect. Boom! A fiery ripple of crimson flames exploded outward from Xiao Yin, instantly knocking down the surrounding disciples without injuring them. These old geezers love to play power games, Xiao Yin muttered, stepping over the fallen disciples without pause. Xiao Gui followed him closely as they headed toward the estate's central area. Gentlemen, this is the sect's main hall. The cliff guardian, now restricted in movement, called out from where he stood. However, the guards nearby cut him off with unfriendly snorts. Get out of the way. Xiao Yin, his temper flaring, released a burst of dazzling Doqi flames. In a split second, the two late 3-star Do Xian guards were knocked to the ground. Lords, please don't. The cliff guardian was alarmed, his voice rising in panic. This was the sect's most important area, and the main hall was just steps away. Within, the sect leader and the great elder, both 4-star Do Xians, were present, along with several other powerful figures. Xiao Yan's actions were practically a declaration of war against the entire sect. Xiao Gui, let's go. Xiao Yan said calmly after dispatching the guards. Without waiting, he led Xiao Gui toward the main hall's doors. They're here, still as hot-headed as ever. But without real strength, a temper alone will only lead to trouble. Inside the hall, the sounds of the toppled guards reached Huolao, who spoke slowly. Father, This brat is so arrogant and unreasonable. Let me deal with him. As the approaching footsteps grew louder, Huo Liuxin's face was filled with resentment. When had their 10,000 fires sect ever been treated like this? First, they were kept waiting for months before the new arrival took up the post. Now, their disciples were being defeated one after another. This wasn't taking up a position. It was clearly picking a fight. You are no match for him, Huo said calmly, listening to the footsteps outside the door. The two guards stationed outside, although only late 3-star Docian in strength, were handpicked by him. The fact that Xiao Yin had defeated them so swiftly proved they were up against someone extraordinary. Huolao, I'll leave this matter to you, Huo said with a faint smile. Make sure not to hurt them, just teach them a lesson. Let them understand that our 10,000 fires sect isn't something a wet behind-the-ears brat can manage. As soon as Huo finished speaking, a green flame emerged from him, with strange currents rippling subtly through it. Yes, sect leader, Huolao replied. Without hesitation, his figure flashed and disappeared out the door. Have some tea. With Huolao's strength, it'll take no more than the time it takes to drink a cup of tea to settle those two. We'll go out afterward. Huo spoke nonchalantly, lifting his teacup and sipping slowly. Suddenly, sharp wind-breaking sounds echoed. In the vast space outside the hall, an elder's figure appeared before Xiao Yin and Xiao Guwei. Big brother, let me handle this, Xiao Guwei said urgently, stepping forward. This one's strong. I don't want to waste time, Xiao Yin said flatly, moving before Xiao Guwei could act. Where do you think you're going, brat? You dare trespass into our 10,000 fires sect and injure our experts? Watch as I take you down and hand you over to the sect leader for punishment. Huolao sneered disdainfully as he appeared. In his eyes, dealing with someone at late 3-star Docian, with his half-step 4-star Docian strength was no harder than squashing an ant. You talk too much. Take this. Xiaoyan didn't bother with words. With a swift motion, he pulled the ancient ruler of heavenly flames from his back. The dazzling great heavenly scarlet flame seed surged over the ruler as he struck directly at Huolao. 10,000 fires palm. Sensing the incoming attack, Huolao's red robe contracted. His withered hands flickered with green flames, forming a brilliant fiery palm that shot toward Xiao Yin. 7-layered skybreaker ruler, break. Xiao Yin, unfazed, channeled his powerful Do Qi into the ruler. The intense flame energy of his late 3-star Do Xian strength erupted, slashing toward Huolao. Boom! The fiery ruler clashed with the green flame palm, creating a shockwave of intense flame ripples. After a few breaths, both were forced to retreat. It was a stalemate. This brat is strange. To display such dazzling Do Qi at late 3-star Do Xian, his cultivation technique must be extraordinary. I can't drag this out, Huolao thought, making a decision. Green flames seeped from his robe, transforming into a fiery rain that rained down on Xiao Yin. What a waste of time. Xiao Yin scoffed. His hands moved rapidly, condensing a flaming handprint. A thunderous roar erupted from his mouth. Heavenly King Seal, suppress? With a cold snort, the blazing crimson flame enveloped the peculiar handprint, which surged toward Huolao. What is this power? This isn't good. Huolao's expression changed as he realized the danger. The crimson flame not only extinguished his green fire rain but also carried an ancient, oppressive force that filled him with dread. How could this be? That flame. It's a great heavenly seed? And the energy in that handprint. It's impossible for a late 3-star Do Xian to wield this. Huolao's heart sank as the strange handprint closed in. He regretted underestimating Xiao Yin, leaving himself in such a dire situation. Just as Xiao Yan's fiery attack was about to hit Huolao, he suddenly twisted his wrist. The Heavenly King's seal veered off course, slamming into the corner of the hall and blowing it apart. Haha, Huolao, isn't this a bit much? Xiao Yin chuckled. After all, the opponent is a spirit hall disciple. Ha ha ha. Upon sensing the intense fiery energy, Huo Liuxin in the hall couldn't help but laugh heartily. Although this fire attribute energy was even more domineering than what Elder Huo usually displayed, it didn't come as too much of a surprise. Though Elder Huo's strength was merely at the half-step 4-star Docian level, he had previously defeated an early 4-star Docian expert. Therefore, he remained entirely confident in his battle alongside his two disciples. Sect leader Huo, quite the impressive display. Just as the white mist dissipated, two figures gradually emerged at the edge of the hall. One of them, gripping a massive black ruler, stared fiercely at the man seated at the head of the hall. With a disdainful tone, he slowly remarked, "So, this is what the 10,000 fires sect amounts to?" Crack! At those words, sect leader Hua Yi's teacup slipped from his hand, shattering on the ground with a crisp sound. Are you Xiao Yin?" Upon seeing the two figures before him, Hua Yi suddenly realized something and exclaimed. He had already seen these two on the golden notices distributed by the Spirit Hall. Now that they appeared in person, they looked unmistakably familiar. "Due to our secluded training, we were slightly delayed in assuming our posts," Xiao Yin spoke slowly, his tone tinged with displeasure. "Initially, we felt a bit apologetic and even prepared some treasures as compensation. However, it seems your 10,000 fires sect holds quite the grudge against us." "Hee, my lord, you jest?" Great Elder Huo quickly stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "You were personally appointed by Earth Spirit Old Ghost, the sect master of Earth Spirit Hall. We were preoccupied with internal affairs today, and thus failed to greet you properly. We hope you can forgive us." The hall's floor, partially destroyed by a single blow, revealed a view of the outside. Elder Huo now stood there, looking disheveled. Although unharmed, his spirit was utterly crushed, a testament to the strength of the young man before him. "You should already know who we are," Xiao Yin said, noticing sect leader Hua Yi's hesitation and Great Elder Huo Yun's sudden show of respect. He inwardly nodded. Though Hua Yi's heart was clearly defiant, he couldn't openly oppose them given the Spirit Hall's influence. Winning him over would take time. "Father," Huo Yoshin frowned and called out, "Great Elder, please arrange accommodations for our distinguished guests." "My lords, this way, please." Rising to his feet, Great Elder Huo Yun respectfully led Xiao Yin and his companion away. Xiao Yin, sensing the elder's genuine reverence compared to Hua Yi's resistance, decided not to linger. Their earlier defeat of Elder Huo had already served as a show of force. "Father, why are you acting like this? That man must have used some underhanded tricks to defeat Elder Huo." Huo Yoshin grumbled, his dissatisfaction evident. The lateness of Xiao Yin and his companion, paired with their arrogant demeanor, only deepened his resentment as the sect's young master. "Huolao, are you all right?" Ignoring Huo Yoshin's question, sect leader Hua Yi flickered outside and helped Elder Huo to his feet. "I'm fine, sect leader," Elder Huo said weakly, his limbs trembling. His expression was dazed, as though he had narrowly escaped death. "Huolao, what happened?" Huo Yoshin followed closely, his tone filled with concern. Elder Huo had always doted on him, and he held the elder in high esteem. Seeing him in such a state only intensified his hatred for Xiao Yin. "Sect leader, the 10,000 Fires sect's revival and ascension to the ranks of the Central Region's top powers may truly be within reach." Elder Huo's voice trembled with excitement as he grasped Hua Yi's hand tightly. "What do you mean by that?" Hua Yi asked in confusion. "Didn't you go out to put that guy in his place? How did it end up like this?" "Sect leader, I am ashamed to say that despite my half-step 4-star Docian strength, I couldn't withstand even 2 moves from Lord Xiao Yin before being defeated. However, Lord Xiao Yin showed mercy, diverting his attack to merely damage the hall instead of ending my life. Moreover, sect leader, I could tell that Lord Xiao Yin wasn't even using his full strength. This Xiao Yin may seem weak in terms of overall strength, but his combat ability likely rivals yours." Before long, a flicker of fiery excitement flashed in Elder Huo's eyes. Xiao Yan's Heavenly King seal alone was sufficient to destroy a perfected 3-star Docian, and with the amplification of the great Heavenly Scarlet Flameseed, it was no wonder Elder Huo reacted this way. Among the many factions in the Central Region, to stand at the pinnacle, even the weakest force required a powerhouse at the late 4-star Docian level or someone capable of matching such strength. Yet, after a brief exchange with Xiao Yin, Elder Huo came to understand that this young man was anything but an easy opponent. His ability to execute such a dominating attack and still have the composure to maneuver afterward revealed as much. Elder Huo, perhaps his victory over you was merely coincidental. After all, you didn't go all out and were a bit careless. Isn't your evaluation of him a bit too high? Huo Yoshin remarked, clearly puzzled. It was unusual for Elder Huo, known for his stern and reserved demeanor, to praise anyone, let alone someone as unexpected as Xiao Yin. Elder Huo, take a rest. Tomorrow, summon the sect's high-ranking members to the dueling platform for a formal meeting. We'll test this man and uncover his true capabilities. After a brief pause, sect leader Huo Yi suppressed the irritation in his heart and spoke calmly. Though he was known for his fiery and volatile temperament, being able to secure a foothold in the fiercely competitive central region proved he was no fool. Elder Huo's remarks clearly hinted at something noteworthy. Father, even you? Huo Yoshin couldn't help but exclaim in surprise at her father's reaction. Whether what Elder Huo said is true or not, we'll know tomorrow. If Xiao Yin truly possesses such heroic strength, then what harm would there be in letting him lead our 10,000 Fires sect? But if he proves to be nothing more than an empty name, then the 10,000 Fires sect will never tolerate a useless pretender.